name is Madeline DeFee, and for this project I will be doing a PowerPoint on Annie Leibovitz. I will also attempt to riff an example of her art that she has done in the past. First, I will talk about the history of Annie's life. Leibovitz was born on October 2, 1949, in Waterbury, Connecticut. She has a Jewish heritage that came from both of her parents, Marilyn Edith and Samuel Leibovitz. She is one of 6 siblings. Leibovitz's mother had a job teaching modern dance, while her father was a U.S. Air Force lieutenant colonel. Because of this, her family and her moved around a lot for her father's work. While her family was staying in the Philippines at the time, she started getting an interest in photography. The Vietnam War was going on, and this is when Leibovitz started photographing different things near the family's military base. Growing up, Annie became interested in various forms of art. She was a student at the San Francisco Art Institute. There, she grew an interest in painting and hopes to become an art teacher. However, not too long later, she ended up changing her major to photography after a workshop that changed her interests. Leibovitz started working for Rolling Stone magazine after college. She was promoted to chief photographer and worked at that position for several years. One of the things that Annie liked about this job most was that she wasn't restricted to creating content only for the magazine. She can produce work that she could keep for herself, her family, and her friends. One of Annie's first gigs as a photographer for the Rolling Stone magazine was the task of photographing the Rolling Stones in 1971. Annie is mainly known as a photographer's portraitist, according to Lester's text. In 1980, Leibovitz received the opportunity to photograph John Lennon with Yoko Ono for the cover of Rolling Stone. However, it wasn't just a normal portrait. Leibovitz has an eye for creativity. She had Lennon take off all of his clothes and curl up to Ono. Little did Leibovitz know, she was the last photographer to ever take a portrait of John Lennon. He was shot and killed 5 hours after the shoot. This got Leibovitz lots of positive attention after the shoot, and she went on to do many, many more projects. She has received awards including the 2015 Pies Medal of Art and the 2018 Honorary Doctorate of Fine Arts from the Rhode Island School of Design. Leibovitz also had the opportunity to shoot an entire cast of the movie Les Miserables, as well as the cover photo for the film. Here, I have a picture of Anne Hathaway Leibovitz took, as well as the cover photo. The theme that Annie likes to go for, and many of her photos, still stands true to this shoot. The pictures bring out so much emotion just in the faces and characteristics of the subject in the photo. Now I will talk about the majority of the art Annie creates. Leibovitz's art is known to be very dramatic and different. She portrays her work in a way that almost forces viewers to see her unique eye and creativity. The first photograph I have displayed on the left is one Leibovitz captured of the Queen of England. Leibovitz took these in honor of the Queen's 90th birthday. Many of the pictures Leibovitz takes are either not too high in saturation or mainly black and white. As you can see in both of these photos, the people and content in the photos are so powerful that viewers are more focused on that content rather than the editing. The Queen's face is already so well exposed that the background is not too distracting. The idea of lighting from Lester's text stands true in this photo of the Queen. If you are knowledgeable in the basics of photography, you can tell that the lighting on the Queen's face is probably not natural due to the dark background. Annie most likely used artificial lighting to make the Queen stand out. Leibovitz places her subjects in the frame in a place that looks most meaningful and impactful to her. She already has an eye for what she wants to see in the final product. She uses the rule of thirds very well, and because of this, the photo is pleasing to the eye. The photograph on the right is a black and white portrait of Michael Jackson. Leibovitz shot with him in 1989 for Vanity Fair. Although Leibovitz likes to have her own creative take on each photo, she also wants the subject to be comfortable. As you can see in these 2 photos, she also has Jackson do some of his famous moves and gestures during the photo shoot, probably to make him feel more comfortable. However, Annie's role with working with celebrities does not stop there. Starting at the top left, Annie has shot Angelina Jolie with her son Maddox. This is another example of how the photographer wants the subject to feel comfortable during the shoot. This end result will bring a lot of emotion out of the photo. Right under that picture on the left, we have Salma Hayek, who is dressed up in hair and makeup and wardrobe to look like Frida Kahlo. Hayek plays Frida in the film Frida to portray the life of Kahlo and all that she went through during her lifetime. Leibovitz got the opportunity to shoot her as a cast member for the movie, as well as many other celebrities in different movies, including Les Miserables. Next to that photo, we have a portrait of Whoopi Goldberg in a milk bath taken by Leibovitz. The story behind this photo, Leibovitz said, was more than just a milk bath. It had to do with one of Whoopi's stage routines. In the routine, Whoopi played a young black girl who wanted to wash her skin and bleach to become white. The meaning and story behind this photo not only meant a lot to Whoopi, but also to Annie, so they shot it. The final photo I have on the right is of Caitlyn Jenner for the cover of Vanity Fair. This was the first photo the world saw when she transitioned, and Leibovitz had the opportunity to shoot it and cover it just right. The soft look of the photo adds the perfect touch to the subject, and isn't too much for any viewer's eye. It is soft, neutral, and well put together. For the final part of my essay, I will present my riffing attempt at this black and white portrait Leibovitz took of Angelina Jolie. I started by taking a portrait of my sister in a well-lit area for good exposure on the face. In the editing process, I made sure the exposure of Angelina Jolie and the exposure of my sister's face were almost identical so that my picture wouldn't look too bright. Since the area I shot in did not have a black backdrop, I had to improvise. I edited in Lightroom and then I switched to Adobe Photoshop in order to cut out the background and place it in a black background to mimic the portrait of Jolie. I also played with the grain and contrast switches in Adobe Photoshop and Lightroom in order to make it look similar to Leibovitz's portrait of Jolie. What is shown on the right is my final product. I hope you enjoyed my presentation of Annie Leibovitz and have learned much about her life, work, and what she's accomplished. Thank you so much for listening.